After nearly 20 years of renting gardens, I've learned a thing or two about making them feel instantly like home. And nothing makes a backyard feel more like yours than building a spot to sit and enjoy it. I have a bare spot along the north-facing wall. It's the perfect space for a cuppa in winter. I've made a hammock for Squid, a small sun deck for my cat Ursula, but nothing for me. I don't want to build anything permanent here just yet, because I've got big plans for this space down the track. My solution is to build a de-constructible, relocatable, super comfortable bench, with plants of course. All you need for this simple design are some concrete blocks, some recycled timber, potting mix and plants. Concrete blocks are relocatable gardener gold because you can reuse them in so many different ways. Now you can buy them new, but I do recommend keeping your eye out at the tip shop because they never last long. First up, I've got to clear the spot and then get it level. I'm starting with the base blocks on the level ground and then measure the width using a piece of pre-cut timber. And then I'm going to double check their level. Stack the second layer of blocks on top. This is going to be your bench height. That's the basic frame done. So this horizontal brick, that's going to form the seat of the bench, and this upright one, that'll form the back. And because there's a bit of pressure going that way, I'm actually going to attach this upright brick to the flat one. If you were building this into a permanent bench, you could glue or mortar the blocks together. Now for the timbers. These are simply slotted into the cavities in the blocks and then secured in place by hammering in a spacer. Believe it or not, I picked up all of this fantastic hardwood from a neighbour who'd just finished renovating. And I've run the planer over it. It's come up a treat. But because I'm going to have people sitting here, I need to make sure there's no splinters. Having some fun with a few extra blocks to make sure I've got plenty of space for plants. Because these are made out of concrete, they're really, really porous, and that means that the plants can dry out very quickly, a lot like a terracotta pot, so it pays to seal them. You could paint the outside, make them really, really colourful, but I've actually sealed the inside using a terracotta pot sealer. Now they're all in place, I'm ready to plant. The great thing about creating all of these individual pots is that you can grow a range of plant types. I'm planting some natives, some food plants, and of course, a bit of colour. Because all of these plants have different soil needs, I'm actually going to custom make them a mix to suit. So I'm going to start with a basic mix and then change it for each plant. This is just a regular potting mix. It's got no fertiliser in it yet. And the first plant I want to plant is actually a native species. It's a Geshenoltia from Western Australia. I've had great success with a close relative that's local, so I'm hoping this is going to survive my frosts. Of course, being a native plant, a little bit fussy about being over-fertilised or over-wet, so I'm just going to use a small amount of native fertiliser mixed in. So this is actually a double-stacked block, so it's going to give me a much deeper pot. And next up, I'm going to plant a Sedum. It's a herbaceous succulent. And they're pretty happy in most mixes, but I am going to make it a bit more free draining by adding a tiny bit of sand. The rest of the stuff I'm planting requires a premium mix. So to 4 parts regular potting mix, I'm adding 1 part cow manure and compost and a good handful of organic fertiliser. If you're likely to change your mind, you could always cheat and just slip the pots into the bricks, swap them when you're ready for something new. I am packing a lot of plants in because when it gets going, I want a really full look. And of course, a little bit of mulch before I water everything in. Well, I reckon both Squid and I are pretty happy with this. I don't know too many gardeners that sit down for long at their own place, but it's always nice to have the option. And better yet, to have the option to deconstruct it and move it around to somewhere else in the garden. Well, speaking of which, I better get back to it.